Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. If you notice my voice dropping out a little bit, it's because I've got my sound gate cranked way up. There's a skip loader that is over here. I'll throw in a clip here. There's a skip loader clearing more land for me to put in my solar panels today. I've got 15 kilowatt hours of solar panels going in. I'm so far off grid and away from the road that they can't run power lines to my building. So I have to go completely off grid, which is fine. It's what I wanted anyway. But if you hear background chewing, noise, grinding, whatever, that's what it is. This woman is perhaps everything that is wrong with dating today. And this woman's probably in her very late 30s, early 40s. So you can see that it is not just young people today that are having the issues with dating. They're not just the bad women. And for everybody that says, go out there and find yourself a good woman that's a little bit older and, you know, that's over all the madness and isn't on social media. Well, they're still awful people. So we're going to play this. And again, remember, she's streaming this to her TikTok at the same time she's doing this crap. So not only is she on a date, she's streaming to social media. This guy takes her to Cheesecake Factory for their first date, okay? It's a first date, and Cheesecake Factory is not cheap. I mean, a good piece of cheesecake there is like $15 plus dinner. He's probably looking at least $100, $150 with drinks. And then you look at this woman and you're like, man, she's not all that. She should be lucky to even have a date in the first place. Let me play the video. I'll mute myself in the meantime because of all the grinding, and you can see what I'm talking about.
Woo. Let me just get the door for you.
Okay. He got me at the Cheesecake Factory, y'all. I ain't getting out this car. Yes.
Would you want me to open the door for you?
Look.
You're recording me?
Yeah. Yeah. This is the Cheesecake Factory. This is the Cheesecake Factory, y'all.
What's the problem with that?
This is a chain restaurant. Who takes someone that looks like this to a chain restaurant?
Horrible. People like this just, not only do they make horrible dates, they make horrible human beings. Like, I would have just been like, okay, well, unlock the door, please, and you can get out and walk your fat ass home. That's where we would be at this point in the date. She locked the door. Now he's Captain Blue Pill. He goes around to open the door for her on a first date, whatever. But the guy's at least putting in effort. He's like, I'll open the door for you. I'll be a complete gentleman. And she's like, nope, because we're at Cheesecake Factory, a chain. Does she think she's going to be wined and dined to a, like, 3-star Michelin restaurant on her first date? And on top of that, what blows me away the most on this thing is she's streaming it and acting like she's Queen Latifah over here.
You want to talk about it? I'm fine with talking about it, even in front of them.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's too good looking for her.
I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Come on, get up on in the car. Yeah, we're going to talk about it.
So that's the entitlement on this woman. And I posted, I'm like, her fat ass be walking home right now. We're not doing this. Date over, get to stepping. And if she didn't get out of the car, I'd just call the cops. I'd be like, I'm going to call the cops. They will forcefully remove you from my car. I didn't guarantee to give you a ride back home. You can get an Uber. I would lose my mind on this. Now, I wouldn't scream at her or yell at her. I'd just tell her, nope, you got to go. Well, here's what's funny. This woman here, apparently someone is like, oh, man, I went and looked on her TikTok, and there is a part 2, apparently. And as you can see, she doesn't look so happy in this video. So imagine you're this woman with an attitude, and watch. There's something key in here, and I'll see if you can catch it.
I can tell it's not going to be there. And maybe we're not right for each other. So, respectfully,
He's so much better looking than her.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah, I'm up.
So, you just want to call it a night? I mean, isn't there some kind of compromise or something? Ladies, can you believe this?
I'm sorry, y'all.
He just pulled out of the parking space.
If I don't feel respected, I am not gonna go through with the rest of the day.
Well, I mean, you are serious. You really leaving?
Yeah. I mean, you didn't want this place anyway, right?
I mean, I understand that I was late. I understand that. I understand that I could have been a bit more cooperative. You made some good points.
She was late to the date. So according to whoever found this clip, he said she said in another TikTok video that she was late to the date and they missed their original dinner appointment. It means he might have even had a nicer restaurant, and because she was late, they missed their reservation, and so he tried to do his best to make it up. Now, that may not be true. That may not be true. But either way, she was late to the date. So she's late. She's got attitude. He offers to open the door for her, and she locks it and then rolls down the window to communicate with him. She's filming this and putting this guy on blast. And here's the part that blows me away. When he's like, you know what, I don't feel very respected. This is obvious not working. Then she's like, okay, well, maybe I was wrong a little bit, which, I mean, I just did a video on women don't take an accountability, and it looks like she's taking a little bit now.
That's why I'm willing to compromise. Are you sure you want to go home?
I don't have a lot of rules. I don't have a lot of expectations for a first date, but I've already set them, and you've broken every one.
Oh
so,
my God.
I'm sorry. We're dropping you off home.
All right, whatever. Well, I mean, I guess I understand. You got to do what you got to do.
She's surprised. And she keeps fixing her hair.
I understand where you're coming from.
She's surprised. And she's streaming this. She's putting this guy on blast. Now, look, here's the thing, right? If you look at this guy, like, his hair's stylish. He looks like, he's not overweight. This guy's a hell of a lot higher value than she is because it looks like he's driving a nice vehicle. And she blew it. She completely blew it. And that just blows me away. That blows me away. Now, they often say one man's trash is another man's treasure. This just happened to be in my feed today, and I was like, oh my God, somebody's talking about Cheesecake Factory. And this is an Australian girl. This is just a little funny tidbit on the end of this. So I'll just play this real quick, and then we'll talk about everything. But again, this other woman that is so entitled and so angry that he took her to Cheesecake Factory, this Aussie's girl's like, I would fly to America. She says, I would fly to America just to go to Cheesecake Factory. If it'll play for us. Come on, internet. Do I have internet? I have internet. Play.
Understand why the Cheesecake Factory is not talked about more in America. Nobody cares. Nobody goes, nobody cares. It's not a thing. But every time I go to America and then I get back home to Australia, everyone's like, oh my God, did you go to the Cheesecake Factory? Like, yeah, dude, I did. It's my favorite thing to do here, is go to the Cheesecake Factory. I would literally fly here from Australia just to go to the Cheesecake Factory.
That's the funny part. She's like, I'd fly to Australia to go to the Cheesecake Factory. Favorite thing to do. You know, a lot of times when we're talking about all this craziness, a lot of people can get very, black-pilled. And part of that probably is my fault, because I'm only showing you the worst of the worst of the worst out there. This woman hates Cheesecake Factory and wanted to put this guy on blast for taking her. And then the other girl, if she was an Australian visiting and you're like, you want to go to the Cheesecake Factory? She'd be like, oh my God, it's my favorite. How did you know I would marry you? If you owned a Cheesecake Factory, I would marry you. Worst Australian accent in history, but you get my point. You get my point. You're going to see a lot of women like this. And this is why you look at this gentleman that took her out. Not only does it leave a bad taste in his mouth for perhaps women her age, women of her demographic, women of her attitude, or women in general. It probably does. I know that if I was on a dating app and you only get one match every week and you only get maybe one conversation a month and you only get one date every 6 months and this is your date, how long after this date where you go, that's it, I'm out, I'm done. But if you talk to the Aussie girl, she'd be all in. She'd love you for it. So I guess the takeaway is, number one, this is a lot of women today. Let's face it. She's horrid. And she live streamed it. How awkward is that? Number two, if you're ever in this situation, I mean, you could be this guy and because he looks like the good guy here for sure, especially if you know she's holding her phone like this in your car filming you. Yes, be as nice as you can. He said, hey, you know what? I only have a few rules for a date, and you broke all of them. I don't feel that you're respecting me. The only mistake he said is he said, I'm sorry. He's not at fault. So he shouldn't say, I'm sorry. I feel like you have disrespected me, or I'm sorry. We don't have anything in common. That's just skip the I'm sorry part, unless you're Canadian. Just say, you know what? I've got rules and you broke every one of them. Just skip the out, because he's not sorry. He's embarrassed probably, and he can't believe that he's on blast on video. But I will say there is the saving grace, and this young lady is good proof of it. There's going to be a lot of women out there, a ton of them, guys, and I say it all the time, needle in a needle stack. Painful to find the right one. She looks like all the other ones, and it's going to mess you up pretty bad looking for it. But there are still good people out there. And a lot of times I forget to mention that. You know, I have dated wonderful women. My mother, my sister, friends, I know wonderful women out there. They do exist. But it doesn't mean necessarily that they're smart enough not to do all the bad things that the crazy ones do. You know, a good woman could still act a fool and blow it. And you'd be like, wow, that was a horrible date. And in the meantime, she had a horrible day or something else. Now, it doesn't mean you should date her. And well, does that mean she'll learn from her mistakes? Probably not. Most likely she won't. But I will say that if you do want to date, and if you do want to make friends, and you do want to work at a company that respects you, all that stuff's out there. It's not nearly as popular and easy to find as it used to be. But it doesn't mean you give up hope. It doesn't mean you don't have empathy and care for your fellow human, because so many of them are awful. You know, there's a lot of people today that, and I've done this myself in the past, a long time ago. But empathy, or the ability to see the world through someone else's eyes, it's becoming very rare to find. Whether I'm on Twitter or the interweb, or maybe even if you watch some of my videos, you go, dude, a lot of times you do this too. I just might. But maybe this is my reminder to you and myself that, you know something, other people have their struggles. Now, this woman's a horrible woman. I'm not talking about her per se. And will she learn a lesson from this? I hope so, because she's up there in age, and she has a lot less to offer than probably a lot of other women do. She should have felt lucky that a relatively successful guy, who's probably, you know, doing well for himself, and he's not bad looking, and he looked like he was at least in decent shape or not heavy, he took her out, and she blew it. How many opportunities, how many swings do you get when she's her age? But she had to put herself on social media for like everybody does. Well, my whole point is, don't get too black-pilled. Like, it's easy to do. And right now, probably more than ever, we need to understand where other people are coming from. You know, if you look at if you look at everything, oh, my camera's not lined up for that. I got to scorch down here. There we go. I'll adjust my chair. It's faster than the camera. You know, if you look at what's going on in the world right now today, everything that's now in the Middle East, everything that's going on between the Russia, Ukraine, the conflicts we have here, you know, in cities, some of the problems, just all the problems we have. It's very easy to like be angry at the world and to choose sides and hate anybody else that thinks differently than you do. And sometimes it is justified, let's be honest. But there's also many other times where you have to say, okay, what if I was this person? Like, imagine myself as this person, or imagine myself as a father that just lost a child. Imagine myself as somebody that just got attacked. Put yourself in all those shoes just for a minute and say, how would these people feel? And then, okay, I see why one side's this way and one side's this way, right? Same thing in a relationship. If she's always being mean to you, put yourself in her shoes and say, okay, how does she view me? Is there anything that I'm doing that maybe is really making her angry and I'm just not aware of it? And put some thought into that. You know, the successful relationships that I've seen between grandparents and my parents and, you know, other friends of mine, one thing that they do have is empathy. And they say, you know what? I see why you said that. I see why that made you angry. I see why. And if you can do that, it gives you some insight into what's maybe going wrong. But here's the thing. If you do that and you don't, there's just no way you can see what's going on the other side, then consider yourself, hey, you know what? I've got my opinion on this. I'm done thinking about it and I'll move on. And that's the end. Nice and simple. Nice and simple. So guys, avoid women like this at all costs. Find yourself an Aussie girl that loves Cheesecake Factory and would fly to America just to go to Cheesecake Factory. And keep your head up, man. We're coming into some dark, hard times. Don't go down any rabbit holes. Don't get angry. Don't get frustrated. Don't get blackpilled. Because even I signed off from Twitter the other day. I'm like, I'm off Twitter for a couple of days because I got tired of seeing all the gruesome and everybody arguing, and I'm just like, I got to get away from this. It's okay. Make sure you're doing that. Make sure you keep your mental health up because, you know, once you're demotivated and once you're demoralized and once you're angry and once you're just dug in like a flea or a tick on a dog, that's it. You know, rational thinking, clear mind, you know, being a good person or understanding the world, it becomes a lot tougher. Don't sink into the mud. Just stay on the surface, stay nimble, stay logic, stay stoic, and make sure to face the world that way. I think you'll be a lot happier for it. Guys, again, if you're here on YouTube, make sure to join us over here on Locals, betterbachelor.locals.com. We got movie night coming up tomorrow night. We're going to do a couple more Halloween horror movies. Last week we did The Exorcist and what's his name? Freddy Krueger there, Nightmare on Elm Street. I'll pick a couple more out here this weekend. We'll have some drinks, we'll have some fun, we'll have some laughs, watch a couple of movies. Come on over, check it out, and we'll see you in the next one.